Good times roll. Hello, everybody. Happy Prosperity Monday, as they would say, how we say it. And, hey, listen, if there's ever going to be a day for prosperity, Monday would be it. Yeah. How y'all doing? Thank you for tuning in. It is a fabulous day in the neighborhood. I trust all of you had a wonderful weekend as I get everything here put together. So just get on the bus. Don't need to discuss much. Oh, Paul Simon. Yeah, the cars, Paul Simon, all good stuff. So anyway, it's a beautiful day here in the neighborhood, and I am having a blast. 15 different things going on at the same time, but why not? Welcome everybody in the chat room. How are y'all? Bonnie and John, and hello, Grandpa Brian. What's up? DC and Bonnie and Chloe, and I thought of Deborah Sloan, and there's Lauren. Hello, Ginger. Jackie and Lynn and Nina and Gaia. How are you doing, my dear? So, welcome everybody. Yeah. When we did the series, It Works, was talking about this last week to an individual, and I don't know how many of you made your list, but I checked off another thing on my list. So that was number 7. And yeah. And if you're serious about change in your life, then you'll get serious to change your life. And there are proven techniques that work. They're tried. It's not hypothesis, it's not psychological, it's not faith. They just fucking work. And if you apply them, take some discipline, take some perseverance, they will work. And if you look back in your life and you just stop for a minute. In the last 3 years, how fast did that go? Boom. So if you had put your action plan, which I did, I hope some of you did, we'll find out. When I did this, which was nearly 5 years ago, how many of, be honest, don't lie to yourself, be honest. How many have you made a list? And how many of you still have access to this? I do. And how many things on that list has come to pass? And my point is, 3 years is nothing, baby. I mean, nothing. 2028 will be here just like that if we make it that far. So anyway, it's always cool because the way that this happened was the destination that was started out is not where we arrived. But where we arrived fulfilled one of the things on my top 10 list. Strange how that works. So, anyway, hello, Millie. What's up? Good to see you, darling. Rick, what's up, dude? Good to see you as well. And Stephen, Lady Ellie. Um, yeah. So, let me just speak favor over us. Got to have the favor. Always. Whether if there's only one thing that you ever walk away with here, if there's one gift that I can give you, and it's a gift that will continue to be a gift, is to learn to think and adjust your energy to favor. It'll never let you down, baby. It's cool. All righty. Jackie says, I made my list and two-thirds have been checked off. I plan to make another list. Bingo. And that's a great point, Jackie. You should always have a list. I mean, always. If your life is so mundane and so boring where you can't make a list, why are you here? You're just wasting your time. Cross on over to the other side. Yeah. Pick up a new hobby, something. All right. So Colleen has sent, she's a great researcher and love your emails, Colleen, as you know. So I want to pull one up real quick. And I don't know, because we're going to deal with something else today that has to do with the planet Mars. Yeah, this is reality. Holy shakeskis, man. All right, so check this out. Let me get it enlarged for us. So Colleen sent this, and so this is us. They say that this is the Milky Way. Um, but what has changed, and thanks again to you, Colleen, and NASA put this out. You can see just the other day, yesterday, in fact. So that's the Milky Way core. Can you spot what the problem is? Um, you see it on the right? Something's happening at the core of our galaxy that is beyond, I think, the ability to comprehend the distance. I mean, we're talking, I think in this case, something like 3, 4 million light years across. Whatever this is, it's bigger than our solar system. It's bigger than our quadrant of the Milky Way. And have you seen what's happening with Andromeda? We're finding so much weird stuff. But Colleen, I love this because I blew this up and what the intensity of the freaking, if we didn't have this dust cloud between us and it, um, yeah, it would be a phenomenon in the sky. But if you look at the dust cloud, um, even that's having a hard time uh, dimming it down. So I don't know. Figure it out for yourself, I guess. Because, something going on. Something going on. And so, Colleen, I looked at your other picture and I want to pull it up, the first one, because I found something very odd in it. So this is show and tell day. I hope you brought something to show and tell. Uh, but since I'm driving the bus, that may be a little difficult. You can stand behind and have all the time you want. So Colleen sent this in, and I think it was what, Colleen, if you're watching and in the chat, you can tell people something about a blue cloud. But what I found so interesting, here's a chemtrail, but I did a video on the life forms that exist. They call them Siths. And Colleen, you captured one, I believe. So let me pull it up here. And there it be. If I can get it there. Do you see it? Now I know that could be considered pareidolia. I get it. But it's very interesting how you can just stare at it. And again, we ain't alone. And it is just something else. And if you just look at the anatomy of this cloud, I contend that you can call it, and here's that chemtrail right there. You can see it. Always amazing to me how they get these here chemtrails, and then you can look off here, and that was really an interesting artifact there, Colleen. So anyway, thank you for the pictures. I take them all the time myself, and I love it when that one, Colleen, I'll even get back to you on the other one. It's like this blue cloud she was talking about, and pretty interesting, isn't it? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Gotta love it, gotta love it. It's fun. Yes. So who else? Hello, Scotty boy. What's up, brother? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. How you feeling? Feeling good? Good. Mission Control. Hello, Preliminal. Good to see you. Seek Truther. Good to see you as well. And Lost in Space. It's a feather on his head. I like that. Uh, Bonnie, that's interesting. Yeah. And again, everyone has their point of views, but I think that kind of stuff is like real. Go back and look at the video I did on it. Just uh plethora of pages of pictures that you know, that's the firmament. Yeah. If you go by the belief that like this is like a dome, you know, I can dig that. A dome doesn't necessarily just have to be here, it could be out there. Anyway, so how's your soul today? Is it doing good? Is it satisfied? Happy? Joyous? Is it sad? Just thought I'd ask. Hello, Mr. Floyd. Doing door dashing, but listening. Wow. Hey, brother, we just speak favor over you. May the tips be huge. That's what I say. Okay. Took off on Friday, as it's getting warmer here. Got things to do, got to get the garden ready and got to get all the plants. And then, you're waiting for things to really get warm. And because there's just like all these chores, you got to see it. My lovely wife bought me a beautiful lawnmower, one of those zero radiuses. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can assure you, folks, some people find cutting the yard and yard work to be labor intensive. For me, it is a far out trip. Get your mind right, put on the jams, and let nature talk to you. That's the way I got to do. So, is the one, I think he said that it's the English language of the United States. Maybe I didn't read the thing on that. Yeah, the George Guidestones. Bet you never find out what happened to them. Mm-mm. Weird ship. Anyway, so the title of today's discussion is storm warnings, and the flags are flying. Because it's getting real. Um, Friday, which the whole world is talking about now, and if the whole world's talking about it, boy, it goes up even higher than that. Uh, was a real game changer in so many ways. What was witnessed, no matter what your point of view is, was historic. It wasn't that it doesn't happen, it was just historic that the way it happened, and then the subsequent consequences of those actions. And, you know, over the weekend, we have a lot of folks that listen to us and are part of this family, this group of soul tribers in Europe. But man, I don't know what your leaders are doing. Why is it that humans in power want war? So here's my retort to the nonsense that took place in Europe on Saturday. All of those European leaders up there, here's what each people should do from those idiots that y'all supposedly elected to represent you. Here's my solution. Put their sorry ass on the front lines, give them a gun, and let them shoot it out. I've never saw a bunch of more warmongers in my life. Germany, you haven't learned anything, have you? You're repressing free speech. You're an oppressive government now. And now the government wants to send its youth To a meat grinder? Sure. No, Mr. Prime Minister, if you got something that you want to put out there, you go to the front lines. Make your declaration from the front lines. Zelensky, that's where your sorry traitorous ass belongs. And you're an ass. You're a punk. You're a liar, a thief. And what you've done to your people of Ukraine is a war crime. But what you saw happen on Friday is a game changer. It is rearranging the chess pieces on the chessboard. Repercussions are still being pontificated, debated as to what, but repercussions are already taking place. And it leads back to a larger philosophical question. What is wrong with humanity? Humanity is a barbaric, murderous species. It has learned nothing in this current reiteration of reality. Humanity is still murderous. It's animalistic. It will steal, lie, kill, murder its fellow citizen. It is filled with hatred, bigotry. That's the problem with Zelensky, folks. If you want to study the occult, what you saw on Friday was a good demonstration of what intense hatred will do. It makes a person unreasonable, unstable. And it's the sad thing. Carl Sagan, I think it was, said that unless humanity gets to a level 1 civilization, they're never going to let us out in space. There is intelligent life. Yes, there is. But I happen to think for the good, this planet is quarantined. We are a barbaric race. We cannot be trusted. And it's sad. We've learned nothing. In the 10,000 years of written records, we've learned zero. And now you have leaders in Europe. Europe, you would think that you would have your fill of war. But why you people in Europe always seek war, I don't understand. Where are the people's voices? Surely the citizenry doesn't want war. I mean, if that's all humanity can come up with as a solution, there's no hope for us. There's no Savior. There's no fucking Jesus. There's no Muhammad. There's none of it. They won't come back. They left. Said, listen, man, we gave it our best shot, but those fucking people are crazy. Don't go to that planet. They're crazy. They don't know what they worship. They don't know what they talk about. They don't know anything. But they think they're real smart. They think that they're real educated. They think that they're enlightened. The most darkened species of all creation. Us. Yes, this is the Steiger perspective, just coming out a little bit on steroids. Because this is nuts. Again, you would think that humanity would have learned at least this, that in spite of our differences, in spite of our different perspectives on reality, that somehow or another we could at least advance a little, a poquito, a little, and realize war, what's it good for? Absolutely nothing. No, but you've got assholes that are in government, congresspeople, senators, bureaucrats that are out there that think making a profit is their only purpose and reason for existence. And they don't give a damn about anyone below them because they're above the law. They make the laws, but it don't apply to them. They're all about profit, 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 even at the expense of innocent human life, if there is such a thing as called innocence. But no. And that's why the storm flags are now flying, because these are dangerous times. You go back and you see the other conflicts that ignited world conflicts. They were incidents like what happened Friday. Those insignificant, seamless, nonsensical actions have huge consequences. And yet, I see nothing in the occult world. I don't see witches. I don't see anyone coming forth and saying, hey, we might have a solution in order to how to maybe a different perspective of how to achieve peace. No, don't see any of that. And then we get all hyped up on the leaders. Take Pam Bondi. Miss Bondi, you lied to the American people. How can we trust you? You sat there on Jesse Walter's show on Wednesday and you said, no, excuse me, it was Thursday. You said, I have the files on my desk. Get prepared. I'm going to release them. Nothing ever came, did they? And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we get this Zelensky blow up that apparently now we find out he made a deal with the UK and he had told a group of Democratic senators that he wasn't going to accept this thing from Trump and that he was going to embarrass Trump. That was his whole intent. Yeah. But getting back to Miss Bondi, where's the Epstein list? Why is it not being released? It's no mystery anymore. We know the list is there. It's the same old bullshit. It's like the Who said. It's just a different mask. It's the same assholes as they've always been. We were promised reform. Why aren't we seeing the prep walk of these FBI rogue agents? The ones that have deliberately broke laws. On the record, we see nothing. This is reality. And we have to discuss it and have discussions like this because even though you want to be adverse to politics, it doesn't really matter. Politics is adverse to you. The fact of the matter is it's happening, and this has huge ramifications coming down the line. And it gets back to that one thing. Why is it that our species, we're free thinkers, critical thinkers here, and we keep asking the same, is it maybe the fact that maybe the human race has no soul? You can't tell me that we're the species that's ascending and advancing. That's a lie. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. Now, you may want to live under that delusion. That's fine. We all live in some delusion or illusion of some kind. Why aren't there protests in the streets? I mean, Europe, that's where you're heading. Your leaders want to put your young men and women on that front line. That's been a meat grinder. Over 1 million Ukrainians lost. Folks, that's a generational loss that you don't make up in a generation. It'll take multiple generations to make up for the slaughter, the sacrifice. And who are these gods that these leaders are worshiping? Because they're committing genocide, but they don't care. They're used to seeing human blood flow from their altar to whatever fucking god they worship. And if don't think for a second they're not worshiping because they're putting humans on the altar, shedding human blood to an unseen god, all for them to get rich. That's the covenant they apparently have with their entity, their deity. You have one proclaiming, in God we trust. Well, that may be true, Mr. President, but which God? It would seem the United States worships the God of war, death, hunger, pestilence, disease, lies, murders. That's all we see evidence of. My former religion is filled with more hypocrites. That, in fact, I can say the Christian church is dead. No reason to go there. No God is there. There's no miracles. There's no evidence, none. But oh, they like to get rich. How many of you have seen that? I think it's the HBO series, The Gemstones. Folks, that's exactly like it is. I know, because yours truly has been in that. It's not about winning souls, it's about how much money they can con out of you. But it goes into our government. If there's one thing that Elon Musk has shown, is that the United States government is corrupt to the core. We have a cancer that I don't believe can be cured. This cancer is so aggressive and so pervasive that is in every branch of every government. It's in the mindset as a parasitic entity living in these people called federal employees. And they're brainwashed. They only lean to one side. That tells you there's an imbalance there. But our congressmen and women and senators who are all up in arms and just frailing their hands and just, oh, they're just wailing because finally the American citizen is seeing what a fraud our government has been. In fact, the American citizens, the taxpayers, should file a class action lawsuit against the Biden administration, the former Trump administration, the former Obama administration, the former Bush, Clinton. They all lied to us. They had a fiduciary responsibility that they did not fulfill. They used deception. We should file that, and we should get our fair share. What we spent to Ukraine, and they don't give a damn. They have no respect for the American taxpayer. None. They look at us as slaves. Do you know what $350 billion would do for every American taxpayer? You know what $1 trillion would do? It would buy you a house, nice one, 3 cars, cash now. It would set you up for life to where all you would do is pursue whatever hit your fancy. Yeah. You don't see that happening. No. But there is this God that these people worship. It's not the God. I don't know what God it is. I have searched high and low, and I have spent a fortune in seeking who is this entity. It's a sly thing, I got to tell you what. But it's alive, and it's as powerful as any entity I've ever come in close with. And look what it does to humans. Humans making profit off the slaughter of other humans. Yeah, we're a real advanced species. Yeah, there's a lot of hope for us. I don't think so. And this is a hard discussion because you know what? As an occultist, I would side if I was anything, if you had to put it in, Luciferian. Again, no Christian, no theologian out there can show me, I put the money up. Not one has come forward. Show me in the Bible where Satan ever commanded a human to kill it. Show me where, I mean, we can go on and on. So something's messed up. I don't know what it is. It's fun, I have my ideas, but for free thinkers, we set aside what your ideas are. We just throw it out there. A lot of people write and say, well, Wayne, you ask these questions in here. I ask the questions many times as rhetorical. It's part of what I do in facilitating a conversation. You get it? Okay. Uh, but where's Us occultists. I mean, we're supposedly having this understanding of, wow, this magic, this powerful stuff. And yet, unless it's been siphoned off already, maybe that's what Freemasonry's about. I mean, maybe the skull and bones. There's a few others that I know take place right there in DC and a sundry other places. They're deep into this religion. They're deep into their God. Yeah. How many of you remember Alex Jones when he went to Bohemian Grove? You ever been there? I have. Hmm. In fact, I can tell you, if you've ever been around a person who has political power, or if you've ever been around a person who doesn't worry about things like most people, there's a tangible force and there's a power. I only wish I knew what I knew now back then. I think there was a song like that because it would have aided me immensely, but I'm grateful for the fact that I was exposed to it. I saw it. I actually felt it. I was immersed into it for a period of time. I didn't like it. I didn't. I mean, when you come together in different cities and you have these special meetings that where powerful people come in, and sometimes it's under a guise of one banner, but there's a hidden banner within the banner, if you know what I mean. And there's prayers offered, there's rituals performed. It's real. Kaya says, me too. Yeah. Bohemian Grove is a interesting place. There is, wow. You know, now I've never been in the ceremony. Was never invited to that. But the fact that was actually got to go in there and having the background knowledge that I knew, yeah. Now, of course, I was there looking for funding. And why I was there is not important. But anyway, I digress. Preliminary said I was personally invited by a member of Heaven's Gate. Well, I'm glad you turned down that one. We would be without your energy. Yeah. Um, so Scotty Boy says Wayne comes up for air. Uh, and it is just interesting, as they would say. All righty, where does the time go? I don't know. Um, but it gets back to, I think, this basic question. I mean, here in the United States, um, we're realizing now that we have been suckers. Suckers! And all that speculation, all the hyperbole that we were nothing more than chattel turned out to be true. That's how they look at us. And have you ever got to know someone in Congress, someone in the Senate, where literally you could pick up the phone and they would, once you got past the gatekeepers? Um, it's interesting because not all adapt. And it's interesting because it's something that you have secrets. There's things you don't talk about. There's things that you never ask about. But yet, everybody knows and everybody wants to know. Yeah. Um, as I've said before, when I did the whole thing on the U.S. Capitol. The House of Representatives is a temple. I should tell us all something right there. I mean, okay, it's a temple, but for whom? Well, we know who adorns the rotunda of the Capitol. That's your first clue. And there's a lot of clues in there. The rotunda, when you look up at the paintings, so George Washington is God? There you go. That's who God is, and God we trust. I mean, yeah. And it's still interesting. If you ever go to DC, go and do a walk and just look at the facades of these buildings. Yeah, these gods are everywhere. Lynn and I were talking the other night at dinner because we were out there a number of times in DC, and we went to the Vietnam War Memorial, um, and have family on that. Um, but then you can go over to the other war memorials. And how many of you have ever been at the Korean War Memorial? And how many of you been there right as the sun has gone down? And how many of you know what those statues, how they've been carved? We were there, Lynn and I, and we got pictures, and there was this, it was weird. I mean, there was like this mist that started forming, and it plays eyes on you. The way that the metal that they use and the color, it jacks with your head. I mean, you will swear that they're moving out there. Yeah. Anyway, what's that, Ginger? I always thought it was weird that most junior high school kids go spend a weekend in DC. Ah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Seriously, yeah. Anyway, I digress on that, but if you've never have experienced that, it's check it out. You'll see what I mean on that. And then by all means, you really should check out the Holocaust Museum. That will forever make its mark upon your soul. You can't get that smell out. You can't get those images out. It's the smell. It really is the smell. I did a video on that and YouTube took it down. YouTube said it was too intense. Well, YouTube, that was the idea. It's the Holocaust Memorial. That's intense. It's supposed to be. Yeah, but they took it down. Um, but how many in the chat has anyone ever gone through there? I don't know if you have. If you're watching this on replay, thank you. Thank you for hitting the like button. And by the way, did you see that Ryder got his 10,000 subscribers? Way to go, Ryder. I'll probably be doing a show with him. He's got a panel he's putting together, and I'm tentative. I think it's Wednesday, but anyway, I'll let you know ahead of time. But if you've ever been through that, and then you have the Hall of Shoes, and that's the smell that you'll never forget it. Never. And the other thing, so they have the beds, you can call it that. The actual ones, I think in this case, were from Auschwitz. Um, and so many people have touched it. So but the energy, it's and particularly where I went behind where you could reach there, where I knew a lot of people may have never touched before, but that wood has absorbed that energy, and it is a profound sadness. It's palatable. And again, yeah, you can see what it does. I mean, even now, I'll quit talking about it. But yeah, night vision, YouTube is allergic to the truth. I would, I would agree with you. Uh, yeah, and if museums they do, but again, Paul Joe, if this one here is, if you're highly empathic, it's going to fuck with your mind. I'll guarantee it. They'll talk to you. There's still that intensity, and that's why I think the Hall of Shoes, the Hall of of Souls, is that that was on those people's feet, and 30 minutes later, most of them were dead, and that fear soaked into those shoes, and that's what you can smell. It's not just the leather; you can actually smell the fear. It's intense, brother and sister. That's all I got to say. Seeker of the truth, got to go. Well, thank you. Have a great day. Favor be with you too. Yeah, anyway, people don't like to hear that stuff because it gets too depressing. I know, but that is life. And, you know, we're all going to go. It's just a matter of what that moment is and by what means does your ticket take you out. You know, most would like to go peacefully, right? And not forcibly. Yeah. 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 Old battle sites. Yeah. Yeah. Gettysburg is one. Yeah. That's like the paranormal hotspot. Um, they're always there. Those Union soldiers, those Confederate soldiers fighting those cannons. Yeah. People say that they hear it all the time and they can hear men screaming, yeah, yeah. Where are we going? Well, we're talking about storm warnings, is what we're talking about. So, how many of you are over watch Ben's channel? Space Weather News, I think is what he's now turned it to. Uh, what's Guy say? Just saying. Yeah. Moving right on along. Paul Joe says, I've been there. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Kind of tells us too. Um, I wonder how many people are alive today that were, if you believe in reincarnation, did they come back immediately? You think about that. Many of them died in the late 30s, early 40s. So if they came right back in, they'd be older than I would be. That's weird. Okay. Moving right along. Hey, Susie Q, what's up? So anyway, Ben brought out this paper and I'll tell you what, I read this thing and wow. So I gotta share it with you. I mean, I'm not gonna the whole thing, but there are enough in here that make you go, all right. I mean, Laura, excuse me, yeah, Lori Eisenhower. Yeah, I think of her when I read this, and I went, huh. Anyway, it says there is life on Mars. This is by Rian Gabriel Joseph. Astrobiology Research Center, California, USA. All right. So, and subsequently in Thailand. It says NASA has a policy of denial, fraud, and censorship. Well, every other government bureaucracy does, so why would NASA be any different, right? Uh, and censorship allegedly based on the religious beliefs of NASA's administrators and scientists who believe the search for extraterrestrial life is forbidden by the Bible, the Torah, and religious law. Now, see, folks, that's the problem. You know, you our Constitution says that we free from religious. We have the right not to have religious aspects, theology, dogma even involved. But if you're a scientist and you have decided that, your imaginary Jesus is your imaginary savior that's serving imaginary God, and this is going to filter down into your perspective when it comes to science. Now, anyway, I continue. As detailed here and other reports, and in a lawsuit filed by this author. Well, it's a pretty big giant you're taking on there, buddy. But anyway, as documented in a 2020 preprint of the article Life on Mars by Joseph et al., pre-published by the Journal of Astrophysics and Space Science, so, peer-reviewed papers, NASA altered, faked, censored, and manufactured data to discredit the fact that, here it is, that vast fields of yellow, orange, purple, puffball, and lichen mushroom-shaped specimens orientated skyward and attached to the rocks by hollow stems were largely engaged in photosynthesis, thus accounting for oxygen in the atmosphere of Mars. Now, I haven't stopped and thought about this. How would you or I know anything what the atmosphere of Mars is? We can't look at the instruments. We can't look and see what the data is saying. Kind of goes when you have a religious belief. You're believing in a book that you never saw the original of. And if you could find such, doubt if it would be in the language that you would understand or comprehend. But yet you based your whole life on that belief that because it was written in that book. Same here. How do we know there's no oxygen on Mars? Just because they tell us that the, rovers on there and the other satellites, apparently there's a lot of life on Mars. But hey, what do I know? Instead, can you imagine that? Instead, based on fabrication and faking of data, NASA claimed these specimens were hematite when the data was a poor fit for the hematite. NASA then conspired with Springer Nature to withdraw for further review the Life on Mars article to defame and destroy the reputation of Dr. Joseph by violating the copyright of and printing defamatory lies on his 2019 article. This sounds like Peyton Place. I mean, you and see how us humans are? Look at this. When does NASA think that it is the arbitrator of truth? No. But the government thinks it is. And define truth. Well, the government will say is what we say is truth. But now they have to slander these people because you can't give them any credibility. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never. See, that is a false, that's a lie. Words do hurt. Words sometimes can hurt more than any broken bone. The truth is as follows. Jas never retracted life on Venus. Joseph had accused SN and Jas of conspiring with NASA to cover up NASA's frauds and demanded they remove Life on Venus from their website and issue a refund for publication costs. The SN/Jas agreed to these accusations and demands and issued a refund only to stop payment, thereby committing fraud. Hate when that happens. Well, you're walking out with a big fat check and you go over to the bank and that ain't no good. So you get all this legal stuff now. They're into legalese because of what? NASA says, and it would be in NASA's best interest to always say that there is no life outside. Why? Because if there is, NASA wants to control it, right? Because remember, they got the greedy politicians and bureaucrats in there, and et cetera, et cetera. Could you imagine NASA comes out tomorrow and says, well, we really screwed up. And it's because of the previous administrations, but we're coming into an era of the golden age of transparency, and humanity, we're screwed. Not only is there extraterrestrial life, they're smarter than us, they're bigger than us, and they're much worse than us. Yeah. Um, so it goes on and say how this thing was going into court. And, they wanted to get this thing settled before there because actually, you don't want to do this. When you go into court, you have discovery. So both sides sees what it's basically you're holding, what you know. Sometimes they don't want no one to know, right? Um, It says the views and opinions expressed on this commentary and opinion are those of the authors based on facts and the author's knowledge and beliefs. And these opinions and views are not endorsed and do not necessarily reflect the views of the opinions of the Journal of Cosmology. But anyway, he goes on to talk about here that this is something that apparently is known. Apparently, there is life. I don't get how there could be, but again, I'm just going by what they tell us is the case. Again, none of us have ever held anything in our hand as data. Here's that picture from Mars. Um, In this case, NASA said that the contractor had engaged in fraud and faked and altered the data and made false statements about the picture itself. But apparently, this is the picture. Says thousands of puffball and mushroom-shaped specimens colored yellow, orange, and purple and attached to the rock by thick, hollow stalks were photographed by Eagle Crater by the rover Opportunity. NASA and its scientists and contractors altered the original colors and employed false colors. And now, the real Jimmy Roberts, he has shown that. We know exactly what they do, how they're using the color filters to try to keep continuity. And yeah, there are some that believe that there's still a lot of water on Mars. And maybe the atmosphere isn't what they're really telling us. According to one scientist, it said that the early Mars probes picked up a certain isotope that is only present when there has been a nuclear detonation. But I've never been there, so I don't know. Says NASA and its scientists altered it, most likely black and dark red, to falsely claim these specimens are hematites when all the evidence collected was a poor fit for that hypothesis. These specimens are most likely fungus and lichenized fungus, algae fungus, composite organisms, and the yellow, orange, and purple colors are pigments that would enable photosynthesis, thus accounting for the oxygen that is continually replenished in the Martian atmosphere. Well, I'm telling you what. Oh, look at this. Even more. They're everywhere. So if this is, I wonder if these are edible. I don't know. We eat fungi. And y'all got mushrooms? But look at this. In figure 2000 of puffball and mushroom shaped specimens colored yellow, orange, and purple and attached to the rocks, as we know. Um, yeah, there is now a vast body of evidence documenting current and past life on Mars, and that life evolved to the level of metazoan invertebrates. Wow. Well, that does look like something. Doesn't that look like a fish? It does look like a fish. I wonder, does that look like a fish to you? A fish's eye? Yeah. Well, I don't know what scale is here, so that's either a normal sized fish that we would expect to see on Earth, or it could be like this really big fish. I don't know. And if it is a fish, I wonder if that's where the plankton and the whatever those are um, to grow. I don't know. Here's more. Why, they are attached, aren't they? That looks aquatic. Huh? Who'd have known? Well, this is quite interesting. Yeah, that looks like a fish to me. I mean, just I could be wrong, but huh? Well, there you go. Maybe the theories, that are out there is that life went underground. I mean, these are growing everywhere. Hmm. Well, look at the time. I had one other one I wanted to show you. Anyway, this is a really cool PDF. If you want it for your files, let me know. I'll be more than happy to send it to you. Doesn't that look like sand? Like how water would flow? Doesn't it? Huh. Different colored sand, too. Well, there we go. I had something else I was going to bring up, but because there's so much to do anyway. I don't know. Getting back to the beginning of this conversation, I mean, so what if there is life on Mars? The question is, did they collapse? Was there indeed this interplanetary battle? Was it intergalactic battle? Was it caused by, Venus coming into our solar system? Or was this a red brown dwarf 70,000? I don't know. Something was up, something happened, and if it happened before, I can't believe that, it's going to stay the same way like it is now. Shit seems to happen on a galactic scale, so to speak. Hey, Mary Wins, I love mushrooms of all kinds. We are mushrooms. But they're not so nice ones around. Yes, there is true. Yeah, there are those mushrooms that if you eat, the cows come and talk to you. Hmm. Yeah. In fact, cows have been known to surround the group that was out foraging for mushrooms, strictly for medicinal use only. But yeah, and it's just not the one individual may who have been, altered in her perception because others saw the same thing. And it's really freaky when they start mooing at you. It's like almost they realized what we were doing. Just saying, just saying. Uh, See, Guy, and it's true. How do I know? Because I lived it. Oh my goodness, we were outside Humboldt, Texas. Oh man. And the thing about it was there were no freaking cows anywhere. None that we saw. There was plenty of cow shit everywhere because that's where the mushrooms grew out of. But and so we just wanted to, for quality control purposes, strictly, to make sure that they were in fact the type of mushroom we were thinking that they were, and were they in fact, of a certain grade and potency, quality control. And that required, the whole group to check it out. So we all had something compared to. And then the next damn thing we knew, these cows were like they surrounded us. Surrounded us. There was one guy named Robert, and it freaked his ass out. Uh, I digress, folks. You had to be there to really fully appreciate it. But oh yeah. Anyway, yes. Hello, Jenny. How are you? Folks, you gotta laugh. I'm telling you, it keeps you healthy, wealthy, and wise, and that's the best thing to do. Okay, so much for today's rap session. I mean, yeah, but it is sad about our species. I truly, truly do hope that at some point, mankind, womankind, all kinds, that we can really get rid of the UN. I mean, that place needs to be razed to the ground and then salted. Nothing ever can be built on there again. And we need to form a human council. And it has representatives not of a politician. You can't go if you're a politician. If you're a bureaucrat, you can't go. If you're already, in certain industries, you can't go because you're compromised. These are human beings. It's a human council, and we'll decide the affairs of the world, not these illegally placed politicians and bureaucrats. There'll be real human beings there. And maybe, just maybe, we could actually do something. I hope. Ba-ba-da-ba. And in the meantime, we can still pick the mushrooms. Okay. All right. Preliminal, thank you. Thank all of you. Thank you. It was a wonderful energy, I got to tell you. Even though it was a heavy topic, you know. Politics. God, what a pain in the ass. We can do better than that. I keep saying we can. We could actually teach some politicians because remember at one time they were human. They're not human anymore. There's something that happens. There's the pod people, something happens and, they change. And they'll never see the change. They know as from their perspective, they're just fine. They're adapting to their new position, but they really have changed. But that's just my hypothesis. Operation Crossroads. Yeah, it springs mushroom time for those special ones, but be careful. Mm, yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. Just don't do it. Uh, Not meant for you to do. Just, just saying. Just you don't do that. That's all I can say. But for the rest of us, hey, and if you have a friend named Robert Dissis that begins to really peak and freak out, it's okay. You'll know what I mean. Folks, I love y'all. This is fun. I went way over. See you tomorrow with the ladies, both Trina and Miss Jenny, and we'll pick it up from there. Plenty to be talking about. Plenty. And I got a couple of books I'm going to share as well. Still tying into what we've been discussing, just a different connection. That's all. Lauren, have fun, Grace, and all the rest of you. But they are good. Those that Yeah, yeah. I love mushrooms, cook with them all the time. Uh, just yeah. All right, Jenny, much love to you. Give all the kids a big, big hug, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Have fun for the rest of the day. It has been delightful. Thanks for hitting the like button. And hey, think a positive thought for humanity. We don't need this war, and we just don't. Um, and I believe human beings should be able to come forth not with agendas or for money, but just for humanity. Yeah. Give peace a chance, right? All right. Much love, everybody. I got everyone talking on mushrooms, but it's funny. I mean, I hadn't thought about that in decades, but yeah, I'm sure many of you could tell your own war stories. Oh, I bet. All right, folks. I'll